I was getting on a plane and I could see through the cockpit that a female was a pilot, and I took a picture and I said, most women I know can't even park a car. Why is a woman flying my plane? And they banned me.
Life for a man is harder than life for a woman. We need to have a lot of shit to be an important man. To be a woman, you need makeup. If you're truly beautiful, you don't need anything else. I've been on boats in Dubai with 19-year-old Moldovan girls. The guy who got that boat needed $100 million. That bitch, makeup, same boat. That's how hard it is. Look at a game of chess. The king moves one square at a time. What does the queen do? Zips here, zips there. Easy for a chick, right?
That right there was Andrew Tate, and right now he is leading the commission for the Red Pill community. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Omizi, and I think it's time for me to take a stab at the Red Pill community. For those that don't know, the Red Pill community is a section of people who have decided to take on this reference from the 1999 movie The Matrix and make it into their real life reality. As we can read here, the term red pill and blue pill refer to a choice between the willingness to learn a potentially unsettling or life-changing truth by taking the red pill, or remaining in contended ignorance with the blue pill. So these people, mostly guys, that have taken on this lifestyle and adopted this lifestyle are really pessimistic and real about life, and they're saying that this is the way that you need to act after you identify this is how life is, and it'll change the trajectory in which you live in. But the main problem is the way that these guys are talking to people is just awful. Honestly, it doesn't leave any room for grace. It's very stern, sturdy, and again, a lot of people say it's the way that you talk to people, not necessarily what you say. But again, the commissioner of it at this very moment is Andrew Tate, and let's just listen to some more of his advice that he has.
Going to bed is emasculate. Cowards need sleep. Oh, I'm texting you, you beautiful girl, but I'm tired. I'm going to bed. You know what I like to say at fucking 1:15 in the morning? I'm going to work. Work, at this time, money never sleeps, baby. Then I go to bed.
It strikes out of nowhere. If
What
that's
the hell?
true, why is it not universal across the human condition? Why are some countries more depressed than others? Explain why some countries have no depression and some countries have a bunch of depression. Maybe because in some countries all we do is talk about depression and fucking promote it.
Bam.
And in some countries we don't. The reason that depression is promoted is because it allows you to become ultimately selfish, live inside of your mind, become obsessed with me, I'm sad, I'm sad, I'm sad. So you don't pay enough attention to what's going on around you to realize you're getting fucked by a ruling class who don't give a shit. And anyone who sits here and tells me, well, depression's real, you're telling me that your mindset is weak. And I'm not going to adopt the thinking of weaklings. I'm busy living fucking life.
These are the harsh realities of the Red Pill community. No level of grace for people. And honestly, these aren't even Andrew Tate's most extreme views. These have nothing to do with women and his takes on women, which we'll get into. But the idea that depression isn't real, it's the mind of the weak when there are people who clinically suffer from mental health issues, is absolutely crazy to me. It's the most insane thing I've ever heard. And I'm not here to convince anybody one way or another. If you're a red pill, you do you. But I think my problem with a lot of these conversations in the red pill community is that there are people who live in reality. I don't know how you tell somebody who is poor, realizes that they are poor, has always been living in it, suffers from like physical ailments and different things like that, that they can't be depressed because they do not like their lifestyle. People who have gone through years of trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma, that they cannot be depressed because it's just a weak mind. And to just tell them to simply beat it is very disingenuous of the medical condition that is depression. That's just ass. That's just an ass way to take. And you know what's crazy also? I want to know if somebody's ever met like a real life red pillar. Is that something that just exists on the internet, or is this like a real life thing?
Michael Jackson was anything less than a G. And now all these kids are coming out going, he touched me, he touched me. Let me tell you something. If you were a parent and you let your kid stay around Michael Jackson's house, and now you want to come here and be all upset your kid got touched. Who cares? Get over it.
There's a magical power amongst men which has been forgotten and lost. When you put enough men in the same room, there's a transference of energy that makes us feel invincible. I say all the time, your friends should bring out the worst in you. And when I say the worst, I mean, you know, when you're with your boys and you're loud, you feel aggressive and you're about it, and you'll talk to that bitch, who cares if she says no? They bring out the worst in you because you don't give a fuck anymore. Because what used to happen evolutionarily is when large groups of men got together, you charged at the enemy. You ran at the spears.
Hey Tates, 28 years old, just lost my father, about to lose my mother soon from cancer. How do I deal with grief, and does the pain ever go away? How do I deal with grief is a question that I always find very complicated. I've had a similar situation happen in my life. What choice do you have? What happens if you don't deal with the grief? Are you gonna kill yourself, drink yourself into depression, ruin your own life? You have no choice. You're on a train track, and you can either change the direction of the train that goes off a cliff, or you can keep it on the track. Time is going to still keep going on, and you are going to be sad. So are you going to be a sad winner, or are you going to be a sad loser?
Now, and there's some of the things that they say in the red pill community that I agree with. I don't think that that was awful advice. I'm not gonna lie to you. But what gets mucked up in the red pill community is the good advice they do have. I don't agree with the depression point. I don't know what he was talking about when he said a group of men get together. That's some real weirdo behavior. I'm not gonna lie. Charging at spears and all this other stuff. But I do agree with his stance on dealing with grief and things of that nature. That's a perfectly fine argument. But it gets mucked up when Andrew Tate and the likes of him in the red pill community start talking about women.
I'm a high value woman, right?
How can you be high value if 50 men have slept with you?
If I've just been single for a long time.
No, unacceptable.
Why is it unacceptable?
A body count is probably the #1 most easiest way to judge the value of a female. I actually think that no. I'm gonna say this. I think 99% of the world's problems, and no one's gonna understand this, but if you can extrapolate, if you can listen to this statement and extrapolate it out towards society at large, I think 99% of the world's problems would be solved if females walked through life with their body count on their forehead.
Now, even if we are gonna allow him to extrapolate this point, we're gonna let him go forward. But even if you just take that for face value, who are you to tell a woman that her worth is in her body count? Especially women that don't know you. This woman right here clearly has no relationship with him. He's on a podcast or whatever with her. I'm confused as she is in this look. Let's see where he goes from here, though.
Because it would prevent all of the disintegration of morals. It would prevent so many things about the world.
But you know what? There's like a lot
And women would be like, to be with me as a man, I don't want to put another number on my forehead. You have to be a good man. They wouldn't stop fucking these idiots and stop being idiots, and all the idiocy would disappear. All the degeneracy would disappear. Families would return. Virgins meeting their first man, staying with him her whole life and being proud of it. Couldn't we go back to such a beautiful age? All we have to do is start putting numbers on girls' foreheads. We could fix everything.
That attitude is disgusting. It's not about women's body count. That would not like minimize any problems. Men like you are the problem, Andrew.
And I agree with what she's saying. Andrew Tate and a lot of the red pill community speak of this time in which society was so great, society was X, Y, and Z. And they're afraid of the progression because they think the progression is an attack on what we are going towards today. And that's different. But who's to say because it's new and different that it's dangerous? Just because it's not the norm doesn't mean that it's dangerous. And I think that's what a lot of the red pill community fails to realize. People want to have options, choices, live different lives and lifestyles unlike their ancestors of past because they feel like those people live terrible lifestyles. So who are you to say that, hey, women should wear body counts on the top of their foreheads? This is what's making people do degenerate things and families will return and all this stuff, so we should label these people. Why? And when does a body count even matter? Why does that matter?
Women, I myself am one of them, I'm sick of men that have this really disgusting outlook on women, policing women's bodies. Listen, if I want to sleep with this many people, I can and I will. Yeah. But what you're not getting is there's this whole hyper toxic independent movement of women, right? We are doing things because it's kind of, now it's our choice, but it's kind of like by force in the sense of it's like we're so liberated because we're literally exhausted with men on their power trip, on their this. So it's like, oh, if you can do it, we can do it. But this is what I said,
True.
but you men that think the way you think have created that.
I understand your point. However, you're wrong.
Okay.
She thinks I'm arrogant. I'm being arrogant on purpose. I must admit, annoying her is kind of fun. I think that
Why, though?
the man who works in Starbucks, who's sad all the time, you won't reply to him. Neither will any other female. So for women to come along and pretend they give a about the fact that most men are basically invisible. There is not a female on the planet who's invisible today. You can be a poor, overweight, fat, you'll still go to the club and get attention. 99% of the men go to the club and nobody even fucking talks to them. If they try and talk to a girl, they
And
get
that's where I
blanked and ignored and
disagree.
get told. Most men are absolutely and utterly invisible. This is the truth about masculinity, right? It's very easy for women to sit here and complain about the top 2% of men because I dealt with this guy, he's arrogant, blah, 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 blah. Most men don't even fucking exist. They send 10,000 DMs and never even get read, let alone replied to. So if you just sit here and say, I'll get a G, a big G, a boss, a millionaire, and let him have a day off, very nice of you. I'm sure you would. Yeah. But if a guy who wanted to have days off all the time, he never would have got important enough in the first place to attract a woman like you. And that is the reality. As a man, it's player versus player. It's ultimately competitive. And as a man, you have to outcompete the other men who are prepared to get up and do it anyway. That's how it works.
And even if we agree with like the sentiment of this argument right here, because I don't think it's an awful one to an extent, to a certain point, who are you to tell people that people are invisible? And this is where I mean the real world application just does not exist with the people that they're discussing. Yeah, maybe me can't get Rihanna because I'm not in that same hemisphere or whatever. I just don't make this the same amount of money. I'm not in the same circles. We don't talk to the same exact people, whatever the case may be. But I live in a real world where real world women are attracted to me, no matter the level or stature that I am at. Who are you to tell us that, oh, because you're not at this level, because you work at Starbucks, because you make $25,000, $30,000 a year, because you're overweight, because you're not attractive conventionally, that you aren't going to find love out here. Who is Andrew Tate to say that? Because we know as regular people that these things actually do happen. These people are married, have families, kids, have found love in the situations and circumstances that they are in with people that care for them actually. Why is he telling people that that's not a possibility?
What would you do if I wanted to start an OnlyFans?
I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with women doing OnlyFans, as long as I had influence and control over it.
What do you mean? Doing a video photographer and get the angles, yeah?
No. I'm not doing any real work, but just like taking all the money. If my chick said I want to do OnlyFans, I'm like, all right, then cool, go do it. How much you made? 10 grand. All right, give me 8. All right, cool. All right.
What woman is going to give you 8 grand?
You're my woman. You're doing OnlyFans. You're selling my product. What the fuck?
Your products.
Yeah.
Calling a woman your product is absolutely wild as fuck. And these are his takes on women seriously. Like, he seriously believes these things.
That's correct.
Women, she's not
Next
your
question.
possession. No. See, I don't know if you're being serious.
I'm totally serious. How would I let my chick do OnlyFans and keep all the money? That's disrespectful.
What woman is ever going to give you that?
Then she better not do OnlyFans. Duh.
And so the thing about having people in the red pill community like this is they always spawn clones. And the popular one in the media right now is Sneeko.
I think eventually if men start talking enough, you become red pill. That's just the truth. Like any man who's honest and like sees things clearly, you become a red pill piece of it just is what it is. If you're honest about the way it is, that's just how it goes. I didn't want to be that. Like I want to respect and fall like at my core, I'm a romantic, bro. I want to fall in love, hold hands, do all that cute bullshit, but it's not possible. They will abuse you until you're weak and then leave you.
And when you go through these situations and look into these people and dive deep into why they became red pill or what was the event that caused them to be red pill or X, Y, and Z, it's usually because they've gone through some sort of quote unquote trauma that they would identify as like making them a red pillar. A lot of them have had heartbreak or experimented with a bunch of things. Take Sneeko, for example. He had a girlfriend and he believed the way to make her happy and truly get over his insecurities and X, Y, and Z was to open her up to a life of like group sex. So he took her to an orgy, took her to a group sex party where he watched her have sex with somebody else. That happened. He still felt emotions and things like that, insecurities. And so he decided, hey, I'm going to take her back to have sex again. As far as I understand, he did it twice and he still had those insecurities. When you try to get over traumas by coming to these crazy ass conclusions and things of that nature, I think that those are the things that ultimately hurt you in the long run when you're not accepting of people's lifestyles and trying to make them the man that you want them to be by criticizing them harshly, criticizing women harshly, and reverting back to the ways of the old. And again, there's always going to be disciples. I mean, this is a whole phenomenon going on right now.
No means not right now with women. And the only reason why they stick around, the only reason why they watch your stories all the time is because they're waiting for you to level up. And when you level up, they're going to want to get with you. That's facts, fellas. As soon as you level up, they're going to want to get with you. And you don't have to be like, man, you weren't messing with me back then, so why should I mess with you now? Man, you can still mess with her, but just use her how she using you. That's all. You play the game. You play the game how it's supposed to be played.
You know, it's crazy. Older people actually agree with this. My fear is that young and impressionable people are going to take what the red pill community says and take it for gospel. A lot of these guys were lame back then. They built themselves up to be men of certain status, which is great, which is impressive, which is all these things. That's fine. However, you don't have to take your trauma and dump it on other people and say, hey, this is the way. This is the only way, and you need to follow my guidelines.
How she left you on scene? She don't want you, G. Point blank, period. She not cooperating with you, bro? She don't want you, G. Point blank, period. She not trying to see you. She making you wait all these months. She don't want you, G.
And the crazy thing about this dude right here, he doesn't even have a following. He is truly just trying to put his traumas and broadcast them out there. A lot of men will call other men who don't believe in this like cucks or simps or whatever the case may be, but I promise you, the red pill community is definitely doing more harm than it is doing good. Because the reality of the situation is a lot of men that try to follow this, and this is coming in the era of the most impressionable people, in my opinion, a lot of men, young men, boys who follow this model will not reach these levels of success that they strive to achieve. There's a certain percentage of males that lift 225 on the bench press. There's a certain percentage of males who squat 300 pounds on squats. There's a certain percentage of males who will get above $60,000 a year in income. I think the median income in America is like in the 40s. Certain percentage of people who will end up at 100K. So if you go your whole life with this aura about you, this arrogance about you, that this will be who you are trying to be, and you're carrying yourself that way, talking to people the same way that these red pill people do, and you don't reach those goals, what do you do then? Do you change up your whole flow? Do you address people differently? That's the things that I don't understand about the red pill community. Yeah, these guys are fortunate, lucky, hardworking enough to break through these barriers. Why are you still harboring onto the old stuff? Why are you still harboring onto the woman that left you unseen? Forget about her, move on to the next one. She wasn't for you. People are finding real love and long-lasting relationships, success, and everything else in their own realms, doing it the way that they do. I'm all for self-help, and I'm all for people helping people, not going against that at all. Your delivery is awful. Your message is awful. Your tactics are awful. They won't work for a lot of people.
She's entertaining Tyrone and Chad. And that's okay, because every dog has his day. You have your day when you have your fair share, but when your day starts with your fair share, she's going to want you to put your fair share away and pay all the attention to her. But she couldn't even pay all the attention to you, G, when you wanted her to.
This is like a revengeful mindset. But why would you navigate your life with a revengeful mindset? That's dumb to me.
I think what bothers me is that these men think that their value and men's value in general is congruent with how valuable women see them. Like,
Facts.
Their version of a high value man isn't a man who has discipline and integrity and morals and honesty. It's a man who makes a lot of money and gets a lot of girls.
Facts.
Again, it's basically this idea that we as men are only as valuable as women think we are.
I like to end one with one that I always agree with. And this guy right here is spitting crazy. If you wrap your mind around the idea that you are only as valuable as the dollars in your bank account, or how many assets you own, or property you own, or whatever that case is, you will fail every time. A male's value is more. And I think a lot of people are seeing that in today's society now more than ever. In a world in which you were the provider because women couldn't work, there were either laws or there were rules or people just weren't hiring or whatever. Yeah, back then you probably were as valuable as like the amount of stuff that you could produce with your hands, the amount of money that you had. But in today's day and age, that is just not the case. You have the opportunity to build yourself as a human being and become somebody without having the pocketbook to show for it and still be valuable. And also, why are you letting a woman tell you what your value is? You should be able to grow within your own self. That's perfectly fine. Don't trauma dump on other people afterwards. But you know, like always, I could be wrong.